All right, people, welcome back. Harmless Dave here on the Harmless Dave channel, where you never know, you just don't know what I'm going to talk about next. And I've got my friend James Roguski on, and he's been a special guest with me over the years. James has some very interesting information for us today. James, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Dave. I'm pressed for time, so I don't think we're going to have enough time to cover all of this. So hopefully you'll have me back and we can finish this off. Many people, you and I have talked about the WHO for quite some time, and I've been saying for 3 years I want to get out of the WHO and on with the new. So this is the first episode of On with the New. Okay, not going to talk about the WHO. Um, and let me preface this with a little talk to the audience before we get into the topic. Okay. Um, have you ever seen one of those works of art where people collect trash and plastic toys and they put it all together? And then when you look at it from a certain direction, it looks like a bird or some other thing. Have you ever seen anything like that? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? If you look at a whole bunch of stuff through a certain perspective, all of a sudden your eyes focus and you go, "Oh, I see it." But then when you
Mhm.
look at the whole thing, it's just a bunch of stuff. Is
Right.
that, have you ever seen anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean
Okay.
it's kind of like abstract art, but it's
Exactly.
it's it's a perspective. Like you'll see it from a certain angle and a bell will go off in your head and you're like, "Yeah, now I get it." But most of the
And
time, if you're not looking carefully, James, you might not see it.
okay. But you got to take in the whole picture. It needs all of this stuff. It doesn't seem related, but it's all related. So I'm an eternal optimist and I'm trying to help the world. And so, I'm deep down the rabbit hole digging out all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to make a statement now that is my hope and my dream that I can get people to see all of the stuff I'm talking about, which blows most people's circuits. It's too much stuff. But if you look at it from a certain perspective, you go, oh shit, right? I want people to have that aha eureka moment. Okay. And you know it when it happens because people go, may I swear on your channel?
Yeah, I mean, but what you're talking about here kind of sounds like myocarditis. I'm a little nervous, but go ahead, sir.
That- at some point, people look at something and they go, oh, fuck. Oh, right. If you have that kind of experience when you dig into the information that I'm going to be sharing, that's great because what I'm trying to get people to do is see something that's staring them in the face. They're looking right at it and they just haven't seen it yet. And then once you see it, you can't unsee it. Okay. And so the issue I think that we're going to be discussing can bring together, and I got a whole list of stuff here. It may be a seminal video. This will be the first time anybody's, I think, ever really talked about this, where people might have that eureka moment, and it's going to destroy the concept of the prevailing wisdom of global warming and climate change and weather modification and geoengineering, and even maybe a unifying theory of many diseases. Okay. Now that sounds like a big lift, and I
Hmm.
recognize that it is. And so if y'all want to get the information, right, give a shameless plug right now, you can go to projectinhumanity.com. Projectinhumanity.com. And as you know, I always give my phone number. So if anybody out there wants to voluntarily take the red pill, now, if you've watched The Matrix, you know I can't make you take it, right? If you want to live in the Matrix, you don't want to know, don't call me. But we're not going to cover it all in today's show. There's no way. But if you want to have a personal conversation with me and get to the point where the red pill kicks in and you go sliding down the tube and you wake up in the matrix and you see the light, give me a phone call 310-619-3055. 310-619-3055. Now, one more movie matrix, okay?
All right.
Did you ever watch They Live with Roddy Piper?
No,
You
sorry.
know that? Okay. Well, if anybody out there in the audience watched the movie, Um, Roddy Piper had a pair of sunglasses, and when he put the sunglasses on,
Okay. Yeah.
he
I,
he could see the truth.
yeah.
Okay, and there was a scene in the movie where he walks into the bank with a big rifle or shotgun, I forget which, and he says, "I'm here to chew bubble gum and kick ass." All right. Well, I'm here to dish out red pills and make new friends. So if you want to really go down this rabbit hole after you listen to this, give me a phone call. Now, have you ever heard of something called, it'll be obvious, but you haven't heard of it and you won't recognize the acronym, air travel related air pollution?
Mm, not in those terms, but I think
Okay.
I know where you're going with it.
The acronym is a trap.
Mm,
A air travel related air pollution. Okay.
yeah.
Now, have you ever heard the term chemtrail?
Yes. And most of the time it's said in a rather condescending or disparaging way where you're obviously wearing some kind of tinfoil on your head.
Okay. If you twist it around and you look at it sideways and you put on your glasses, it's a trail of chemicals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Here's a statement that I think is completely obvious, but yet people aren't thinking about it this way. I think in a strange way. I look at things differently. Every plane, every helicopter, every jet, every rocket, and every missile, wartime missile, in use and in testing, okay, uses some kind of fuel, and its exhaust is a trail of chemicals. Tell me when you disagree with anything I've said.
Well, it
Okay.
sounds plausible and there's nothing to disagree with thus far.
So when you look up in the sky and you see some stuff, okay, I'll call them plane farts. Okay.
Okay.
When you see some stuff up there, you go, ooh, I don't like it. Okay.
Right.
Did you ever watch the space shuttle blast off
Hmm.
back in the day? Okay,
Yeah.
they're coming out now with the new space launch system,
Yeah.
right? With the solid rocket boosters and the big old tank in the middle, right?
Right. Yep.
Do you know what was in the two tanks on the side? What kind of
S
fuel they used?
no.
They had liquid fuel in the middle, and they had two solid fuel rocket boosters on the side. 17 stories tall.
Hmm.
Okay. I mean, I've never experienced it. I've never been there. It's amazing. You see the plume going up.
Yep.
Those solid fuel rocket boosters use aluminum as fuel. Okay. Aluminum is very reactive with oxygen. And you want to take a rhetorical question. I won't make you answer it. Take a guess how much aluminum one rocket launch would put into not just the atmosphere, but up into the stratosphere. Okay. It's an equivalent amount of weight as if you weighed every player on every team in the NFL. It's like a 500,000 pounds of aluminum with each rocket launch. Okay. Now you watch it go up, you see white smoke, you think it's a cloud. That's a cloud of microparticulate aluminum. Now, how many of those types of solid rocket fuel boosters are going up? I did an article the other day and they canceled it. Artur Artemis 2, I might have said Arcturus before. Artemis
Artemis. Yeah.
2 um, is scheduled to launch in March.
Right.
So, watch it. Ooh, they're going back around the moon, right?
Hmm.
And they're going to be spewing aluminum all over the world every time they launch that thing. And if you watch the tests that they did, they're spewing aluminum there. Okay. Do you remember that leaded gas was a thing, right? If your engine was knocking,
Yep.
it helped with all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, do most people realize that aviation gas for light aircraft is leaded gasoline? And that every plane that you see flying over your head is spewing out the residue of leaded gasoline. Now, I've actually worked with lead. I used to do construction and we did some lead flashing on roofing and stuff like that.
Hmm.
When you touch lead with your hand, it sucks the heat right out of you. Okay. They have found it, lead particles, in ice crystals, in clouds, because it is it's an ice nucleating particle. You put it up where it's cold and you get a nano tiny little particle of lead, um, it'll cause the water vapor to freeze. Okay. So it's wonderful for making ice storms. Okay,
Hmm.
let me keep going. We're going to talk about small things but big numbers. Okay. Dave, do you know what a septillion is?
Septillionth?
Like September, septillion?
Mm, I,
That's
I,
okay if you don't. I had to
I,
look it up myself.
it
Okay.
sounds like some kind of a mathematical term, but I don't know.
Okay. Um, maybe people can handle million, billion,
Hmm.
trillion, like the debt. Okay, we got 35 trillion is the debt.
More
Well,
like almost 40, but go ahead.
thank you. It was, yeah, I looked at it yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Um, Quadrillion is the next one coming.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, one, two, three, four, right?
Right.
Trillion, quadrillion, um, uh, quintillion.
All right.
Okay. Sextillion. Now, that's not a coming out party for girls on Epstein Island. That's
No.
six, right?
Hmm.
Septillion is a trillion. Okay. That's the total. And this is in a published study. I'm not making this stuff up. Okay. That is a number that is around, it's in the ballpark of the number of stars in the known universe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how many pieces of what they call PM 2.5 particulate matter is spewed into the stratosphere by jet aircraft each year. 350 septillion particles, 350 trillion, right? So that's like 10 trillion times the size of our budget or our national debt.
Yeah.
Okay. You cannot comprehend that number.
No. No.
Okay. Now, let me give you a strange question. And I'm gonna ask you this question. Um, if you were to combust 1 pound of jet fuel, how many pounds of jet exhaust do you think you might get?
Well, you would think it'd be maybe a 1-to-1 ratio, no?
Okay. It produces 4.4 pounds of exhaust. It's magic. It's sorcery. It's right.
Right.
How does that happen? Well, I won't keep you in suspense. If you studied photosynthesis, you know, plants take carbon dioxide and water, use sunlight for the energy, put it together, make sugar or fat or some other compounds.
Yeah.
Carbohydrate,
Right.
okay?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Well, in fossil fuel, it's lost some of the oxygen through that process, and what you end up is a hydrocarbon. So instead of carbohydrate, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, you get just the carbon and the hydrogen.
Hmm.
And when you want to combust it, you've got to suck more than 3 times as much oxygen out of the air to combine with the hydrocarbons to make a bunch of oxides. You make carbon dioxide. This is not about carbon dioxide. That's a bullshit story. Don't fall for that one. But it also makes carbon monoxide, hydrogen dioxide, fancy name for H2O. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm mixing that up with hydrogen peroxide, which I deal with a lot. So it's, dihydrogen oxide is what I meant to say. That's H2O.
Yeah.
But it also makes sulfur oxides and nitric oxides and all kinds of other oxides. And because it sucks 3 times as much oxygen out of the air that we're trying to breathe, it ends up making more exhaust than just the jet fuel, because it's not just jet fuel, it's jet fuel added to oxygen. right? So what we are doing is using enormous amounts of jet fuel. A typical jet will go through a gallon a second, right? Now, on a yearly basis, um, the aviation industry uses 1 billion gallons of jet fuel. So imagine flying up in the sky with your, do you have a little pump sprayer or something around the home where you might be spraying
Yeah.
paint or what? No, imagine taking 1 billion gallons of jet fuel going up in an airplane and spraying it down on humanity, project in humanity.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the water vapor that is made by the combustion of jet fuel is actually more than the jet fuel. For every gallon, you get a gallon and a quarter of water, along with the carbon dioxide and all the other pollutants, right? Carbon dioxide is not a pollutant, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
On a yearly basis, aviation alone, I'm not even talking about all the rockets, we pump into the stratosphere 1.25 billion gallons of water. Now, you just sprayed 350 trillion or 350 septillion little tiny microparticles that want to attract water and become raindrops or snowflakes. And I don't mean, people who are easily offended. Um, and now you're spraying water to be attracted to those particles in an area in the stratosphere above the clouds where the humidity is supposed to basically be zero. So commercial aviation and rocketry, if you will, and missiles and all that other sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I had a little fun, and I know we're over time, so we're going to have to chop it up. Um, I tricked GPT and Google Gemini. I took information about the pollution that
Mm.
is documented, that is coming out of every plane in the sky. Only 5% of the time will the conditions be right that you'll see a trail, call it a chemtrail, call it a contrail, call it whatever you want. It's a
Right.
visible trail,
Yeah.
okay? 95% of the time it's invisible. And that is by law because EPA regulations state that they have to keep it down to the point where you cannot see the exhaust. So my whole point is that when you look up and you see blue sky, there is so much freaking pollution in that blue sky that you have deceived yourself into thinking that that is a no spray day. But you are being sprayed every day with aluminum from rockets and lead from airplanes and particulate matter that will get all the way down into your lungs if you breathe it, if you live around an airport or something like that. But if you could imagine being microscopic up in the stratosphere, you're a little tiny particulate. There's hundreds of them across or almost 100 across a single human hair. You can't see them; they're invisible, right?
Right.
And it's sitting there looking for some water to turn into an ice crystal to make a cloud to change the weather, change the climate. And I tricked ChatGPT and Google Gemini into, hey, if I was some crazy, insane geoengineering kind of guy, what would be the outcome if I put all these chemicals into the sky? And I took the chemicals from the pollution and I said, well, what would the effect of this be on the planet, on the health of the planet, on the weather systems, on the climate, on, just local weather patterns, and on human health? And I don't want to say this is a unifying theory of the universe, um, but I certainly welcome anybody who would like to know more to go to projectinhumanity.com, play on words, hope you get the double entendre.
Hmm.
And give me a phone call, 310-619-3055. I think I might have covered everything I wanted to cover. Um, I'll repeat, every plane, every helicopter, every jet, every rocket, every missile, whether you see something coming out of their back end, if you see a plane fart, you see some trail, that just is maybe 5% of the problem. So I'm an optimist and I'm working on this and I want to make it better. But if you think there's a problem, I'm telling you that you're only seeing 5% of it.
Yeah.
And it's way worse than you think it is. And so we'll see if anybody's interested in this, Dave, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, James Roguski, to be continued. I think we'll have more episodes of this information because I have a feeling you have a lot more to say about this.
Very much. And there's an there's an article that this video will be on top of, and that'll be a trap, air traffic related air pollution. So don't fall for their trap, fall for mine.
All right, man. Thanks for being on. I think I'm gonna go and grab some Xanax, and I'll see you. I'll see you in a little bit,
Oh,
James.
Dave, wait, okay.
What?
Just take it, just go outside and take a deep breath and relax. And just do
I'm gonna
some
be.
just do some Zen meditation and realize that, there is no spoon, okay?
Yeah.
Right? The 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 lines in the sky that you see
Hmm.
are there all the time if you can see them. If you put on Roddy Piper,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute, I see chemtrails, right?
Mm.
Not quite the sixth sense. Whenever I see a car driving down the street, whenever I see a plane in the sky,
Yeah.
right? Not, with the visible trail, because I've been dealing with this for well over a decade.
Yeah.
I see in my mind the trail of chemicals that are coming out of that exhaust. Now, if if somebody had a car running in their garage and it was a nice finely tuned car and you could hardly even hear it and there wasn't any smoke coming out of the back end and you walked into that garage, if you didn't realize the car was in there, you could die from the carbon monoxide poisoning. You can't see it,
Right.
can't smell it,
Hmm.
okay, but it's there.
Yeah.
And so all the microparticles, all the metals, all the garbage that's in petrol, um, is being spewed
Hmm.
with every flight. So um, if you see an airplane in the sky, whether or not you see a white streak following behind it, please understand that there is a trail of chemicals behind it.
Hmm.
And if you want to know more, give me a call, 310-619-3055.